We all have short, unplanned breaks away from the guitar, but instead of these breaks really slowing down your progress, I'll share with you a few different ways to help you capitalize on the time away from the instrument. As much as I want to play guitar every single day, sometimes I just don't get to. Sometimes it's illness or travel away from the guitar. Something will keep me away from the guitar. And lately, I've had quite a bit of both of these things. From being laid up on the couch for a solid week with, I think, the flu, it was bad, or traveling to Europe to visit some family recently. Either way, I was away from the guitar more than I would like to have been. Now, these were the only breaks. There were other things that kept popping up over the last several months that kept me away from the guitar, so I had to turn this into an opportunity to avoid losing any ground in my own progress. Now, the first thing that really helped me out was I worked on this instrument. I worked on my mindset, because it can be very frustrating if you're someone that wants to play and you can't because you're away from the instrument. But if you live in that frustration, you're going to be blocked up from really making any progress even while you're without the instrument. So here are a few things that you can do to help you practice and become better as a guitarist and even an overall musician while you're away. First thing, you can work on some ear training exercises. There are plenty of programs out there and apps that will help you to recognize intervals or recognize chord sounds. Those things are golden for you as a player. And if you spend some time away from the instrument, that can be a great thing that you can slot into your time away. Another thing is just to study theory. One thing that I used to do was I would make this little grid of the harmonization of a major scale. And I started with C, and I would just plot it out, just kind of stack the intervals on top of each other. And there's so much information that can be gained from that. And my learning style was really in tune with writing it down. And it helped me commit that information into long-term memory, whereas just looking at it in a book or seeing it online somewhere, yeah, it was good, it kind of made sense, but I didn't really internalize it. So that's something that I did. Maybe that's something that you can do. Now, one other thing that you can do that's particularly fun is to actively listen to your favorite tunes. When you can't be distracted by anything else, sometimes listening can take this sort of heightened sense into active listening, where you're listening to what a player is doing, what are their common themes throughout their playing, do they have licks that they repeat or change keys. You can listen to all that stuff with an active ear, and you'll be surprised at what you find. I did that with the complete recorded works of Robert Johnson once on a particularly long flight. I listened to every song over and over and over again, and I learned quite a bit about his playing doing that, and it really helped me get inside some of those classic things that we do today that came from those recordings. And we can't forget to mention that a few days without playing can give your hands, your fingers, a much needed rest and a chance to recover. Plus, there's something that happens when you're away from the instrument that your brain doesn't stop working. This lump of goo above your shoulders can really work on things in the background. So even though you may not be cognitively aware of what you're doing, your brain might actually be processing something and figuring out the solution to that scale pattern that you've been wrestling with. What do you do when you finally get back? How do you get going? Well, a couple tips. First, warming up is something that you should do every single time that you play. You are warming up, right? I hope so, but it's especially important when you're coming back after several days away from the instrument. If you're like me, that rest can be good, sure, but your fingers might feel a little bit stiff and not quite as limber as they are if you're playing every single day. So make sure to warm up. Warm up a little bit longer, a little bit easier than perhaps you would if you were in your regular practice routine schedule. And we'll return back to the mindset, which is so very important here. Make sure you go a little bit easy on yourself. Don't expect to come back and just shred on the guitar the same way you did as if you were practicing for 2 hours, 3 hours a day for a month straight. It's not going to be the same after that rest. So go easy on yourself. Make sure you're warming up and slowly ratchet your practice sessions back up to the same intensity that you were at before your break. For me, the first break that I took was not great. I came back, I was was rusty. I didn't have the right mindset, but I learned what it took to help me capitalize on these forced breaks. So try some of these things out for yourself, but I want to hear from you. What do you do whenever you have a forced break, whether it's being sick for a number of days or some travel where you can't take a guitar or don't have a travel guitar? What do you do to get back into it? Leave a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear what you have to say. All right, I'll see you back here next Tuesday for another lesson. Until then, practice smart, play on.